Wang Yibo and Shu Kai in brutal fight over Tan Songyun. Cameras caught everything. It began like any other evening at the hospital, quiet corridors, the low hum of machines, and the faint scent of antiseptic in the air. But no one expected the explosion that would unfold between two of China's most talked about celebrities. And certainly not over love. Tan Songyun had just begun to recover. After months of memory loss, emotional instability, and moments of terrifying silence, her condition was finally stabilizing. Shu Kai, her partner, had been with her through it all, sleepless nights, whispered encouragements, and quiet breakdowns behind closed doors. He had watched her forget him, watched her ask strangers about his name, and still, he stayed. But Wang Yibo had returned. The tension began building days before the fight. Rumors swirled after a clip surfaced of Yibo walking Tan Songyun to her hospital room late at night. She looked confused. He looked devastated. In another leaked moment, Yibo could be heard whispering, "I should have come sooner." He never said why he was there. No interviews. No comments. Just silence. And then came the confrontation. It was 8:47 p.m. Security footage showed Shu Kai walking into the hospital ward with a bouquet of sunflowers, Songyun's favorite. He looked tired. The band of his wristwatch was undone, and his shirt still bore a faint stain from coffee spilled during an earlier interview. His phone buzzed with missed calls. None from Songyun. All from publicists. Reporters. His world was crumbling. And then he saw them. At the far end of the hallway, just outside Songyun's room, stood Wang Yibo, leaning casually against the wall, arms crossed, eyes unblinking. Tan Songyun sat on a bench, head down, clearly shaken. She was holding something, a bracelet. Not just any bracelet. The one Shu Kai gave her on their anniversary. The one he thought she lost. Shu Kai's footsteps echoed. "You shouldn't be here," he said, voice low but shaking with rage. Yibo didn't move. "She asked me to come. She doesn't remember everything yet. You're confusing her." Yibo tilted his head. "Or maybe you're afraid she is remembering. Just not you." That was the first punch. Shu Kai didn't yell. He didn't threaten. He just launched forward, fists clenched, and slammed Yibo against the wall. The sound startled Songyun. She screamed. Security tried to intervene, but the emotions had reached their boiling point. Cameras captured every second, the raw fury on Shu Kai's face, the tear that streamed down Yibo's cheek as he refused to fight back, and Songyun, trapped between the two men who once protected her, now threatening to destroy each other. "Stop," she finally screamed. And they did. The aftermath was a media nightmare. Clips of the altercation flooded social media. #ShuKaiYibo fight trended within minutes. Fans were divided. Some supported Shu Kai, praising his loyalty and pain. Others stood by Wang Yibo, heartbroken over his visible vulnerability. What no one expected, however, was the footage from inside the hospital room. Just hours before the fight, Tan Songyun had sat with her therapist. The conversation, though confidential, was leaked by an anonymous source. In the video, Songyun trembled as she admitted, "I remember Yibo holding my hand that night. I don't know why I feel safe with him. But I also remember Kai. He never left." Her voice cracked. "I love both of them in different ways. But I can't do this. I don't want to be the reason they destroy each other." The confession tore through fans like wildfire. What was once just gossip was now a brutal reality. She was the center of a love story too heavy for her own heart to carry. Later that night, a private meeting was arranged. Tan Songyun requested it. No cameras. No bodyguards. Just the three of them. A quiet room overlooking the hospital garden. rain tapping gently against the windows. Shukai sat on the right, knuckles bruised and eyes bloodshot. Yibo on the left, hands tucked into his hoodie, jaw still swollen. Songyun sat between them. "I'm not choosing either of you," she began softly. Both men stirred. "You're not chess pieces. And I'm not a prize to be won. This, whatever this is, it has to stop." Shukai looked up. "But I fought for you." "I know," she said, tears gathering. "But did you fight for me, or to prove he couldn't have me?" Wang Yibo remained silent, gaze fixed on the floor. "And you," she turned to him, "you say you came for me. But why now? Why after everything?" Yibo finally looked up. "Because I didn't know how much I lost until I saw someone else love you right." That shattered the silence. Songyun stood. Her voice cracked. "I'm choosing me now. I want to heal. I want to remember who I am without needing to belong to anyone." Days passed. Shukai was spotted leaving the hospital alone. No reporters. No entourage. Just him, walking quietly through the rain, his head low. Wang Yibo posted a black screen on Weibo. No caption. Just silence. But Tan Songyun did something different. She posted a photo. A sunflower in full bloom. And beneath it, just one sentence. "I survived the storm." Behind the scenes reports revealed more. Doctors said the emotional trauma might have triggered more of Songyun's memories. She was remembering little things, her birthday with Shukai, a conversation with Yibo during a shoot, the time she broke down during rehearsals and both of them showed up together. Her fans started a new hashtag, #LetSongyun And surprisingly, Shukai and Yibo remained silent. No public statements. No social media rants. Just space. But sources say something remarkable happened weeks later. Shukai and Wang Yibo were seen together, at a quiet cafe in Beijing. No bodyguards. No press. Just them. A waitress overheard part of their conversation. "I hated you," Shukai had said. Yibo replied, "I hated me too." They clinked glasses. In the end, this wasn't a story about rivalry. It was a story about heartbreak. About healing. About what happens when love turns into possession, and when silence becomes louder than any fight. And through it all, Tan Songyun stood, bruised, but never broken. Torn, but never shattered. She didn't choose between them. She chose herself. And maybe, that was the bravest choice of all. The hospital hallway was no longer quiet. Voices erupted from the far end, low at first, but growing louder. Nurses glanced nervously over their shoulders. One of them whispered, "That's Shukai's voice," and Wang Yibo's. Inside room 3B, Tan Songyun stirred slightly, her eyes still fluttering from sedation. But the disturbance outside was enough to jolt her awake. Not fully, but just enough to catch fragments. "You think showing up here fixes what you did?" Shukai's voice was sharp. It wasn't the usual tone he used in interviews, or even around Songyun. This was raw. Wang Yibo's response came with a coldness that sliced the tension even deeper. "At least I didn't sit back while she cried every night," he said. "You call that love?" That was when it happened. Shukai lunged forward, fists clenched, and shoved Wang Yibo back into a cabinet. Metal trays clattered to the ground. A nurse screamed. But Wang Yibo didn't flinch, he came back swinging, and the two men collided like thunder. Security arrived within seconds, but not before Shukai managed to land a punch to Yibo's jaw. Blood trickled. Yibo wiped it away with the back of his hand and smirked bitterly. "That all you got?" he hissed. "No wonder she kept reaching for me." Shukai's eyes darkened. "Don't talk about her like that." Inside the room, Tan Songyun struggled to rise. Monitors beeped erratically. She clutched the blanket and whispered, "Stop, please." The door burst open. One of the nurses rushed to her side while another ran in between the two actors, who were now surrounded by hospital staff. A doctor yelled, "Stop it, both of you. You're going to wake the entire ICU." But it wasn't just about a hospital or a fight. It was about years of unspoken resentment finally combusting. Wang Yibo and Shukai hadn't seen eye to eye in months, ever since that day Songyun's accident was blamed on miscommunication between her management and Shukai's team. Ever since she called Yibo while Shu was away on set. Ever since the video leaked, the one where she cried in Wang Yibo's arms. Shukai had tried to forgive it. Had tried to understand. But now, seeing Yibo standing in the same corridor where Songyun was recovering, uninvited, it broke something inside him. "What are you doing here anyway?" Shukai asked, his voice hoarse. "She's not yours. She chose me. She's still with me. But does she want to be?" Wang Yibo shot back. That one sentence shattered whatever silence remained in the hallway. The hospital director himself appeared, furious. "If you two don't leave this minute, I'm pressing charges." Yibo didn't move. His eyes flickered toward the door of room 3B. "She called me," he said, quietly now. "I came because she called me." Shukai froze. The entire corridor felt suspended in air. One of the nurses whispered to another, "She did wake up crying for someone last night." "I thought she said Yibo." Inside the room, Tan Songyun clutched her head. The memories were scattered. She saw images, blurry and fast, of hands holding hers, of voices comforting her, of someone whispering, "I'm here, just rest." Was it Shukai? Or was it? Her hands trembled. "I need to talk to them," she whispered. The nurse looked startled. "They are both." "I don't care," Songyun said, gathering her strength. "Tell them to come in. Now?" Within minutes, Wang Yibo and Shukai stood inside her room. Neither looked at each other. Both bore bruises, visible and hidden. Songyun sat up slowly, four still attached to her arm. Her voice was barely audible. "What are you doing to each other?" Neither of them answered. She looked at Shukai first. "You told me you'd never raise your hand in anger." He opened his mouth, but no words came. Then she turned to Wang Yibo. "And you, why would you come now? Why stir everything up again?" Yibo's jaw tightened. "Because I was the only one who listened when you said you were scared. When you begged someone to stay. He had other things to do." Shukai stepped forward. "That's not fair. Neither is fighting in the middle of a hospital," she snapped, voice cracking. Tears brimmed in her eyes. "I almost died. And the first thing you two do is tear each other apart like I'm some trophy."